Hi viewers, and welcome to another episode of On the Farm, where we're vocal about everything local. I am Shakima Hanley. On this episode of On the Farm, we'll be speaking about the Tabasco project that the Federation of Kitts-Nevis is currently undergoing. But before we get into it, we take a short break and be right back after this.
My name is Quincy Bat. I'm the Plant Health and Plant Quarantine Officer. I would just like to notify farmers and backyard farmers that we here at the Department of Agriculture identify a new type of pest that is prevalent in the Malvaceae family. When we're talking about Malvaceae family, we're talking about okra, sorrel, cotton, and also some of the Solanaceae families such as eggplant, sweet pepper. This pest we found to be a leaf hopper. The leaf hopper is a small pest and it's a sucking insect. This sucking insect serves as a vector for a virus that affects these host plants. So the pest, it's green, pale green, and it has flying capabilities, and it's very, very prolific. Signs and symptoms of the pest is that it sucks the plant and transmits a disease, and this disease you can see crinkling of the leaves, yellow lesions of the leaves, and necrotic lesions, and it affects the yield significantly. So once you see that in your okras, your sorrel, eggplants, give us a call and we're able to give you guidance on how to control this pest. Thank you.
Welcome back, viewers. I have a representative with me here from the Department of Agriculture, and he's firstly going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit of what we're here for today.
Yes, good day. My name is Steve Reed, and I'm the vocal point for the hot pepper project over here on the island of Nevis. So we're here today to give the general public a small update as to what's going on concerning the project and what stage we are at and where we're hoping to go.
You said hot pepper. What type? Is Scotch bonnet, riri pepper? What type of pepper to be exact?
Okay, well, if we were keeping abreast with the communications over the news, you would have heard that sometime now the Prime Minister had announced that there was a partnership being formed between Tabasco, the company Tabasco, that is well known for their famous hot sauce, and the Federation of Kitts-Nevis, where Kitts-Nevis would have been producing the hot peppers to supply some portion of their demands. And so Tabasco, having their own variety of peppers, would have supplied the Federation with some seeds for us to at first carry out our trials. And as a result, this is one of our first trials over here in Nevis, and I assume the same thing is going on over in our sister island of St. Kitts.
Okay, so when exactly did the trial started?
Okay, well, in Nevis, we planted sometime in December.
Okay.
Before the Christmas vacation. So where we are now, I would say we are about 2.5 months.
Okay.
In the production stage. And so the objective of this was to collect data.
Okay.
Tabasco had provided some data to us based on other countries that supply them. For example, the South American countries like Guatemala and so forth. However, our conditions may vary. St. Kitts soil and Nevis soil vary within such a small federation. And so we had to see how it do under our conditions. Then, here in Nevis, we then look, and as we do zoning, we noticed that there are two extremes on the island. There is here where we are now at Cades Bay, which is within the rain belt. That means this area gets some of the heavier showers and more reliable rainfall. And the other extreme is at Indian Castle, where we hardly get that much
Yes.
precipitation there. However, we had to not only looking at the difference in weather, but where lands are available.
Correct.
And if you know, the fruit orchard in Indian Castle is 30 plus acres.
Yes.
And so we saw that that's one area where we could get quite a bit of peppers there. But yet we still had to do the trial in all the different areas to make sure and to get the data before we go into full production.
Okay, so based on the trial experiment, roughly how much acreage are we looking at for the experimental process?
Well, we in Nevis, based on how we do our training, we normally, when it comes to peppers, we do it by plant.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
you charge extension, so we would say each pepper tree would yield X amount,
Yes.
or tomato tree or whatever, and so then you make a calculation as to how many plants you would need to give you at whatever spacing and so
Correct.
forth. So that's the approach
Okay.
that we take rather than by acreage,
Acreage or
so to
size.
speak. Now, that's why it's important for us to get this data now, because I could then say one plant will give me 30 or 50 pounds over a lifespan of X, and thus we only need to plant X amount to get this yield rather than by the acreage.
Okay. So at what time or what's the duration process up from planting to harvesting when you think these will be ready?
Okay. Well, 2.5 months now, and we have already seen some of the fruits turning.
Okay.
All right. Remember though, we're in February now, heading into the dry season. If, for example, we start the crop during the dry season, it might be a shorter period. If it's in the rainy season, it might take a longer period before you see fruits turning. However, what we're looking at is what Tabasco have, the tech pack that they have presented us, which is very simple. Our job is to produce and pick.
Okay.
And they will send a container to collect and go. This container would be lined, having a liner in it. And then the peppers should be picked when they are fully red.
Okay.
Right? Then they have this processing machine, which is a mash, and you feed the peppers through it without any water, and it just mash the peppers. This mash will be stored in 55-gallon drums until we have enough to fill a container.
Okay.
But within this drum, I think we should be adding between 6 to 8 pounds of salt
Okay.
as a preservative, and
Yes.
to keep it there while it ferment and then it's pumped into the container. So it's basically most of our cultural practices will be based on what we're teaching the farmers now.
Okay.
Which is not to use chemicals unless it's absolutely necessary. And of course, you have the pre-harvest intervals and so forth, which we'll use. So far, we haven't identified any major pests as
Okay.
yet. We haven't had any problems as yet. And if a few rain has been falling here and there, and they
Yes.
have a lot of butterflies, and we haven't experienced anything out of the norm compared to our normal seasoned pepper or sweet pepper. So it's simple. Pick when red, grind it, store it, and then ship it.
Okay. All right. So where do you see this production going in the next couple of months or?
Yes. Okay. So the whole objective of this is not only for the government to benefit, but for farmers to benefit. And you being one of the frontline persons out there having to face the farmers, you need data to convince a farmer that this is the way to go. What I could tell you is that to do the conversion, Tabasco is willing to pay about $2.50, 40 cents, somewhere around that, per EC. per pound
Okay.
of the pepper. Now, in Indian Castle, where we have our experimental plot, we don't have any weed mats. Over here, we have weed mats. And we have not once done any weeding over here whatsoever. So, you know, that's labor saved.
Yes.
The water that is needed is a lot less.
Yes.
So from this, I could tell you in advance that anyone who is planning on producing these peppers, it's best to use the weed mat.
Correct.
Because that eliminates a whole section of your labor costs.
Yes.
You just plant, irrigate, and monitor the plants and apply insecticide or fertilizer as
If necessary.
if necessary.
Yes.
Right? Now, on the other hand, in Indian Castle, those guys have been pulling weeds, going in with weed eater, cutting the grass between the beds and so forth. And that's it adds up.
Yes.
And remember, they're paying about $250.
Yes.
So the less you spend, the better it is. And the weed mat is almost like lifetime
Yes.
because it lasts for quite some time. So you could do repeated crops on it. And if you choose to divert into other crops, you can still use it. You just take out the pepper plants, you put in your cucumbers or whatever you may want. You could also intercrop it. If you notice the spacing here between these plants, it is about 3 feet the above.
Yes.
And this is because the tree would eventually become as tall as me, which isn't that tall. But, you know, I'm assuming if the average person would have a sweet pepper, seasoned pepper tree at home, around the size of a fully mature seasoned pepper tree, with some pruning here and there, they
Yes.
should have quite a bit of a lifespan on them. But I'm not calling any figure or duration as yet until this experiment has
completed.
been completed, so I could give accurate information. It doesn't make sense to keep a pepper tree for 8 months when it really only producing effectively for 6
Correct.
or 4 or 5 based on the conditions that it is in.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to tell the general public in regards to the Tabasco project that they could probably look forward to, or even if they want to have any more insight on it, who can they contact to get some information?
Well, I must put a plug here and say, of course, we will be there at the Agro Expo coming up next month. And we are hoping to have a booth to educate not only the farmers, but the
General public.
as to the various use and health benefit of this particular pepper. Now, if you look around, we have quite a bit of peppers in the different fields that we will have to harvest.
Yes.
And so what we are hoping to do is to get this off to some of our local agro processors to see what they can do with it.
Yes.
To use this in comparison to the traditional hot pepper that they use, what kind of pepper they get. Remember, they will not, even though they use this pepper, they will not be able to compete with Tabasco because they have their secret recipe.
Yes.
We don't know the recipe. So what can they do with these until we reach to a stage where we could start exporting? And as I said, we should be there with a whole range of information on that. And I'm hoping to work closely with extension staff on this project because some lessons that we learn here, I'm hoping that could be passed on to the farmers who do decide to, you know, join on board with this project when we do take it on a commercial level.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Reed, for being here on the farm with us. And we do look forward to see where the Tabasco project goes, how far it can span, and how also the people on the island of Nevis can also benefit all across the world for the Federation. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome, dear.
Fresh local fruit and vegetables produced for our nourishment. Buy local, eat local.
Our planet may be called Earth, but its surface is made up mostly of water. Water flows within us and is the driving force that unites all nature. Water is food, prosperity, energy, life. Yet today, too many people go without it, while others take it for granted. care for water, cultivate a sustainable future. Water is life. Water is food.
And there you have it, viewers, another episode of On the Farm. We'll be vocal about everything local. Just to recap this episode, we spoke to Mr. Reed regarding the Tabasco project that is happening on the island of Nevis, to be exact, where we were able to find out when the production started, things to look out for in regards to the crop, when the crop are ready to be harvested, the extent we as a federation will be going with this project. And just to remind you, remember the dates, 27th and 28th of March, Agri Expo, highly anticipated. Remember to come on out at the ETW Willett Park so that you can see what the department and the Ministry of Agriculture is showcasing this year for Agri Expo 2025. Until next time, I am Shakima Hanley. Bye!